We're jumping right into a super fascinating real-world experiment by Dr. Philippa Hardman. It's all about using AI to scale highly personalized learning. Look, if you've ever struggled with giving detailed, meaningful responses to a massive group of people, whether you're a teacher, a manager, maybe a coach, you absolutely know how exhausting that can be. It's draining. So today we're looking at exactly how to leverage AI-assisted feedback to solve that exact problem totally without losing that essential human touch. Let's get right into it. I've probably never received better feedback in terms of both quantity and quality. This incredible praise actually came from an anonymous learner in Dr. Phil's Learning and Development Bootcamp. They were evaluating her intensely personalized weekly notes right at the end of a pretty rigorous 4-week program. I mean, getting this kind of glowing review for one-on-one feedback, that's literally the holy grail for any educator. It means the learner felt seen, they felt guided, and they felt genuinely supported. But here's the plot twist, and it's a big one. The educator didn't actually type those words. An AI assistant did. Seriously, let that sink in for a second. The feedback that a human learner called the absolute best they had ever received was generated by a machine. Just to give you a sense of the sheer scale we're talking about here, across 50 learners over 4 weeks, this AI system produced nearly 60,000 words of targeted, highly effective output. Guys, that's basically a short novel's worth of text. And we're not talking about generic fluff here. This was deeply individualized coaching. Trying to produce that volume of high quality writing manually, it's pretty much impossible for a single human being to do that without completely burning out. And really, this brilliantly illustrates the very human problem of, feedback fatigue. Think about it. On submission number 1, you're fresh. An enthusiastic educator is going to write a detailed paragraph explaining exactly why a certain choice was correct. But by the 40th submission 3 hours in, running on nothing but caffeine and hope, even the very best human educators default to generic stuff like, hey, strong work. The underlying judgment might be exactly the same, but the actual value to the learner basically drops off a cliff. But a well-built AI, it never gets tired on submission 40. Now look at this massive difference in the data from Wiesny, Feska, Zero, and Hattie. High information feedback, meaning feedback that explains what happened, why it happened, and exactly what to do next. That has a massive effect size of 0.99. In educational research, that is an absolute game changer. Compare that to simple reinforcement or punishment. Just telling someone good job or needs work. That only hits a 0.24. So if we actually want to drive real learning, we have to deliver high information feedback every single time. But that brings us to a pretty major risk. Welcome to the danger zone. A massive meta-analysis by Kluger and Dinesi found that bad feedback can actually harm performance. Literally over 1/3 of feedback interventions end up reducing learner performance. This happens when feedback shifts the learner's attention away from the task and puts it onto themselves, stuff like praising their effort or judging their personality. So here's the absolute crucial point. You cannot afford to let default AI just guess what to say. If you just ask a generic chatbot to give feedback, it almost always defaults to overwhelming lists and personal praise, and that is exactly what the research says you shouldn't do. So what was the secret to Dr. Phil's experiment? Well, it wasn't some clever prompt engineering, like telling the AI to take a deep breath or pretend to be a world-class expert. No, it was rigorous specification. Specification is basically the process of taking all the standards, the boundaries, and those nuanced judgment calls that live inside your head and making them so incredibly explicit that an AI system can actually follow them reliably. It's essentially taking 25 years of pedagogical expertise and encoding it into rigid rules. To build these feedback bots, Dr. Phil developed what she calls the 4Rs framework. It's a really smart step-by-step diagnostic method designed to fix all the predictable ways AI tends to fail when you just leave it to its own devices. We're going to walk rapidly through each of these 4 steps: role, rules, resources, and references. First step is role. Setting the role right off the bat settles the whole power dynamic. See, in this system, the AI is an apprentice, not a consultant. It works strictly to your rules, not its own weird instincts, and it never ever gets the final say. Actually, research by Zing and colleagues shows that giving an AI a persona doesn't magically make it smarter or more factually accurate, but what it does do is define whose rules the AI has to follow, and it stops it from pretending to be you. Next, we have the rules. This part is huge because it's where we stop the AI from just averaging out your instructions. If you tell an AI to be blunt but supportive, it's probably going to give you generic mush. So the rules here split the output into 2 distinct parts. First, there's an internal, totally blunt note to fill with raw evaluations and grades. Second, there's the student-facing coaching part, which has absolutely no grades at all. And crucially, these rules separate the act of reading the text from the act of writing the feedback. They also explicitly order the AI to surface any doubt it has and to never ever bluff to fill in the gaps. Moving on to resources. Think of this as creating a closed universe. The bot is absolutely not allowed to use the whole internet. No way. It can only cite techniques from a very specific reference document, and it has to use exact citations. It checks the weekly brief plus a specific list of skills that students are supposed to carry forward from previous weeks. Mandating that the AI only pulls from this highly restricted closed universe dramatically increases verifiable grounding. Honestly, this is exactly how you prevent those notorious AI hallucinations from totally ruining your credibility. Finally, the fourth R, references. Look, describing quality is always a bit subjective, but actual examples, those are concrete. References calibrate the AI's judgment by showing it exactly what an optimal response looks like, and more importantly, annotating exactly why it's optimal. Then you compare that to a weak response that's just full of vague, generic praise. Doing this gives the AI a crystal clear standard to match. Alright. Moving into section 2, shaping the AI's brain, specifically embedding pedagogical guardrails. Now, a framework is really only as good as the educational science you feed into it. Up to now, we've managed the AI's behavior. But now we need to shape how it actually thinks by embedding strict guardrails that are backed by decades of research. These guardrails are where the magic happens. First up, keep the attention entirely on the task, never on the person. We explicitly forbid praising effort. Second, the feedback must carry information, not just final verdicts. It has to explain exactly why something needs fixing. Third, and this is key, we restrict the AI to a maximum of 3 strengths and 3 actionable improvements. This ensures the system doesn't overwhelm the learner. If you give someone 10 things to fix, they're just going to freeze up. 3 is actually actionable. And lastly, the AI is instructed to always point forwards to the following week. This turns what would be isolated feedback into a real continuous learning journey. And that brings us perfectly to section 3, the trust factor. Do learners hate AI feedback? We really have to ask this human question. How do human learners psychologically react when they read feedback that they know was drafted by a bot? Do they absolutely hate it? Well, research by you and colleagues reveals a pretty massive psychological risk here. Check this out. If you conceal your use of AI, students rate the feedback very highly at first. But the very moment they find out you hid it from them, boom, a massive bias against the AI appears and trust is completely destroyed. However, when you disclose the AI up front and you frame it as a co-produced effort between the human and the AI, learners will maintain their trust and they stay highly engaged. So to ensure your learners actually value and act on this feedback, you've got to meet 3 non-negotiable conditions. Number 1, disclose the AI up front even before the course starts. You want to frame it as a tool that extends your reach, definitely not a replacement for your care. Number 2, make the assistant demonstrably yours. You do this by training it on your unique rubrics and your specific voice. And number 3, you must stay visibly in the loop. The human educator has to physically review every single word before hitting send. You are the one making the final judgment call always. Really, this entire explainer fundamentally shifts exactly where we draw the boundary between human and AI. Think about it. We used to think that writing individualized personal feedback was the ultimate human task, but it turns out finding quotes in a student's work and just comparing them to a rubric, that's actually a highly specifiable task perfectly suited for bots. What remains deeply wonderfully human are the situational tasks. We're talking about those nuanced judgments like knowing if a student's apparent mistake was actually a really clever trade-off, or knowing intuitively if a specific learner needs an extra push this week, or maybe just a safety net, which brings us to a pretty provocative final thought. If an AI can write better, far more consistent feedback than a tired human ever could, what exactly is the new unit of human value? Well, the answer is that AI doesn't diminish our expertise at all. It actually elevates it. Your true value is now your ability to extract your deep expertise into structured specs that an AI can reliably follow. So ask yourself this. If an AI can handle all the heavy typing, what uniquely human judgment are you finally free to provide? With this AI leverage in check, continue to watch to see how to use the free time you've... Thanks for watching the video this far. I'm excited to share with you an in-depth article on how to create, share, and monetize lead magnets effortlessly, all without technical skills or expensive tools. This article dives deep into the essential steps for building an audience genuinely interested in your brand. It's designed to help you leverage the skills you already have to create and launch a profitable digital business today. Whether you're just starting out or looking to refine your approach, this guide offers valuable insights to set you on the right path. And one of the key topics covered is why manual outreach and legacy systems can't keep up. You will learn that speed is a vital component of lead conversion. Research shows that responding to a lead within minutes rather than hours dramatically increases the likelihood of a successful sale. The fact that manual systems lack the agility required to pivot when audience behavior changes shows how Lead Creator can address this need. The article helps you pinpoint what your audience truly needs and how your unique skills can meet those needs effectively, ensuring your product stands out in a crowded market. Next, the article explores how to craft compelling content that resonates with your audience and drives sales. It emphasizes the importance of storytelling, clarity, and authenticity in your messaging. You'll learn techniques to create content that not only educates but also emotionally connects with your potential customers. This approach helps build trust and encourages engagement, which are essential for transforming interest into actual purchases. Another vital aspect discussed is effective packaging, how to present your knowledge in a captivating way that appeals to your target market. Alongside this, the article outlines strategies for building a marketing plan that truly connects with the eager buyers. It covers everything from branding and positioning to choosing the right channels for promotion. These insights empower you to showcase your digital product's value clearly and attract the right audience consistently. Finally, the article addresses the challenges new creators often face and offers advice on staying motivated and focused throughout the journey. Launching a digital product can be demanding, but with the right mindset and strategies, you can overcome obstacles and keep progressing. This section provides encouragement and practical tips to help you maintain momentum and achieve long-term success. So go ahead and click on the link below to get started today and turn your ideas into impactful digital products.